Peace, I'm alive victorious.
I'm true universal.
I'm sincere.
And this is When the Gods Build. And when the gods unify to build intellectually for one common cause.
We show the world manhood
And brotherhood.
To achieve godhood.
Peace.
Peace, God. Here we
Peace
go,
to
man.
God, man. Peace, God.
Last
Peace,
episode, man. You know what I'm saying?
man.
season finale.
How y'all
Good
feeling?
conversations, man. We have some great conversations.
Yeah.
I think so.
Y'all doing all right? Y'all doing good?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Great, man.
I'm on my Naruto wave right now. Got
Yeah.
my Uzumaki clan.
Yeah, I see you switched it up. No more sweaters, huh?
Yeah, I ain't like the joints that they had. I was like, I'm just going ahead and go anime this time.
Go anime. Yeah.
That joint dope. I love it.
No, for real. So the topic for the day is dealing with grief. Man. So always gotta start off the episode breaking it down. What is grief?
What is grief?
Yeah.
Grief. I learned a lot about grief last year. And I was playing the game God of War Ragnarok. Man, that joint hit me with so many quotables about grief. And I just y'all keep talking. I'm gonna look this joint up, but man, I gotta hit y'all with this quotable about grief.
Well, we had the episode on letting, let go and be God, but letting go when we was talking about it. I think grief is the I would say negative emotions that come with letting go.
Yeah.
Because, anytime you let go of something, I look at it as like a mental death or a mental death because you're killing it in your mind. And, with any death, you have grief, you know what I'm saying? Any attachments that you have to that thing have to be gone, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's almost like, oh, well, get over it, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't do anything about it. And that's when you can't do anything about the mental death. That's when grief sets in. Or if somebody passes too, like physical death, it's nothing that you could do about it that's in your hands. So that's where I think grief sets in, And there's different, there's different types of grief, So yeah, man, that's what I think grief is for me. It's just the negative emotions and the sadness and somberness and sorrowness that comes with a mental or physical death that happens in your life.
Yeah, so with grief, the quotable that that like really hit me, it's two of them. It was from so the main character, his name is Kratos in God of War. For anyone that knows the game or they don't know, so it was his second wife, Lao Fei. She was a giant, but as he was navigating these different spaces in the story, he ends up going to sleep. He ends up taking some rest. He takes a nap just to recuperate and figure out what route he wants to take in this journey. And he has a dream that he's back hunting with his wife. But she's already had long passed on. They spread her ashes in the previous game. And so, he's having this dream of her. And within their conversation, she tells him that the culmination of love is grief. And yet, despite the inevitable, we open our hearts to it. To grieve deeply is to have loved fully. And so when I'm playing the game, and when I hear this, I was just like, whoa.
Damn.
I was like, yo, I never heard grief, spun in that way. But when she said it, I was like, that makes so much sense.
Facts.
So it's like when you have an open heart, and you open yourself up, you choose to be vulnerable with people. And it's like when you lose certain connections, like you feel that heavily because it's like you connected on various ways. And so when that connection is severed and lost, you feel it in every one of them ways. And you have to navigate all of them channels that you're grieving because that connection is no longer part of your life. And so, yeah, when I heard that joint, I was like, man, I feel you, Kratos. Like, this is a fictional character, but the emotions that were being characterized were very real.
Art imitates life.
Yeah.
Grief, from the definition of grief, you know me, I'm going to look up this definition here. The etymology of grief: hardship, suffering, pain, bodily affliction, misfortune, calamity, to make heavy, weighty. So any and all things that deal with that is what grief is.
Dealing with that weight. What grief have y'all experienced? Whether it be with like a family or friend, what grief have y'all experienced in your life? Or let me be more specific. What's the most significant grief that you've dealt with in your life?
Divorce. 15 years. Again, that's lots of connection, familiarity.
Lots of learning.
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about her. And then, of course, the children that were created from that. I learned a lot. And so, this is a woman that I've known for half of my life. The adult half of my life, not the child half. And so a lot of who I am is because of that union. It took me well over a year to navigate that grieving process.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been the most significant for me.
What about for you, Sincere?
Come back to me on this one.
All right. I think it was my grandmother. I think it was because the fact that it was so sudden, like it was so quick. It was once we found out she had cancer, it was just like within 2 months, like she was gone. You know what I'm saying? And and then again, I didn't have control of the time I could spend with her. I didn't have control over the disease that was killing her. You know what I'm saying? Physically. So that was the heaviest grief because like my grandmother, my nana, she was very, very, a very, very important role in my life. You know what I'm saying? She did a lot for me just as a kid growing up. And she was always around. And she showed me a lot of things about life, especially like grace and being kind to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and being kind without being a pushover. Like, she epitomized that. And it's like, to have somebody go so swiftly like that, that's where that grief comes in. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you don't have control over the factors that bring about the death. The death just happens. And you got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And so, that was kind of hard for me dealing with it. It's difficult, but it's not challenging, if you will. Sometimes it weighs on me. It'd be random days. I just be like, damn, I know I want to talk to her. You know what I'm saying? And, I get down a little bit, but, aside from that, I just learned to deal with it and realize that this is something I might never get over, but I have to live with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, that's one grief that I was like very significant in my life. You feel me? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those connections are important. They serve as a part of your foundation of who you are, how you operate, how you talk, walk, interact with people, navigate the world. So it's like when you lose those bonds in the physical form, it's like you said, it weighs on you, and it just makes you think about all these different things. Like, cause I lost my grandmother too, 13 years ago, and again, I had no control over it. I'm expecting a child. I'm in college. I'm working, so I had no way to travel to see her, and just to have those last few words, get one last hug, maybe one last kiss, one last laugh. I had no way to do that. So like when it just happened, I didn't even really have time to grieve because it's like I'm in the mix of all the things like that's immediately happened in my life. And so it took me years to actually grieve her passing. And like when I did, it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
It was like 1 year, it was like the time of her birthday. And it's like certain songs because like her birthday is September 21st. So anytime that song by Earth, Wind and Fire come on,
man.
it just it reminds me of her.
Brings those emotions about.
Yeah, and it just one year it just hit me, and I just couldn't run away from it anymore. And I just chose to surrender to that feeling. And man, I was just crying, just bawling out. And I'm not one to really cry. But when it just hit me, I was just like, just like that big weight off of my chest.
Yeah.
And that sigh of relief. I was just like, but it only happened because I had performed an ancestral divination. And so the diviner, connected, with my grandmother on the ancestral plane. And, she just served as a medium to allow my grandmother to speak. And so, when I'm hearing like certain phrases that my grandmother was saying and all these things, and just saying like, it's okay, it's not your fault, there was nothing you could do. I was just like,
Balling again.
man, I was an emotional wreck. So yeah, man, so I understand.
Yeah.
I guess for myself,
Shit, I'm getting teary-eyed now thinking about it.
I see y'all over there, man. You got some tissues, man. Got the guard over there. Both of y'all eyes over there getting glossy. That's what's up, though. That's peace. That happened to me, too, when I was thinking about my grandmother on the last bill. For me, I would say, I think what I grieve and continuously grieve when I really think about, some of these points here, like grief being shock or denial, anger, depression, acceptance, and hope. I grieve constantly the system, the matrix that we exist in. I grieve that. Being, as a baby, things are presented to you to be all this way.
Right.
But in actuality, they're the total opposite of what it was presented. And that is so many facets that happens in life, whether like familial connections, religion, holidays, food, no area of your life that you haven't been somewhat tricked, so to speak, in seeing the reality of things for what they really are. And so I think I'm constantly grieving that in different ways, actually. It's like a macrocosmic grief. You know what I'm saying? Like it's overarching grief of pretty much, because when you go through the veil being lifted off your eye on certain things and you find out something is not what you thought or what you were trained it was, that does kind of take you aback. Like, okay, well, if this happened here, how far does this rabbit hole really go?
Right.
Who am I really?
Right. And saying that just made me think about like within that, like, and I've never told anyone this, and it now is just like really hitting me as we're having this conversation. There's times I grieve being a black man in America. I grieve being a black man in America because it's like there's all these narratives and these images and these expectations of what a black man is or what a black man is supposed to be. And then it's just like when you try to esteem to that expectation or obligation, you're just like, damn, like I'm never not going to have enough resources or finances in the way that the American society is set up because it's always finding a way to put me down or to hold me back. And then so I grieve that. And then it's like I want to be, this, or I want to be that, but it's just like in order to do that, I have to do this, or I have to do that. But then when I go to do that, someone is like, oh, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't be that way. But it's just like, this is what's required for the narrative that you want me to occupy. And it's like when I go to do that, it's like, go ahead, pull it back. It's just like, so who am I supposed to be that y'all want me to be?
Fact.
So yes, sir, that made him other than his own self.
Yeah. So and for any black man that's listening, or any black woman that has a son, that's something to think about. Like, do you grieve as a black man? Do you grieve your own existence? based upon how, you know, all the society and all these narratives paint you to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Or trying to persuade you to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a constant grief for me.
Yeah. So in that space, do you think that men feel safe in their expressions of grief, being in this society?
Feel safe. I know I haven't felt safe. I can't speak for every black man in America. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure a good amount can relate to grieving and not feeling safe, because I know I have. 'Cause we talked about it before, maybe in last season, where we're talking about like when we go to assert ourselves in certain spaces, and it's just like, oh, who are you? Why are you talking back to me? Why are you using that tone? So it's like the narrative of a man being a protector and a provider. Yet when you assert yourself to be that, then it's just like, oh, don't do it that way. Just like, how are you going to tell a leader how to lead when you want the leader to be in a leadership position?
Yeah, exactly.
Humble yourself and all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, how do you tell me to lead? And I was like, it's an emotional space, so it's like it's very subjective. It's not objective, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we leading? You know what I'm saying? I'm just feeling, like, you know, or I'm emoting, shall I say? So it's like, why does there necessarily have to be leadership within this space? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I understand leadership as far as navigating through it, but as far as feeling, why do I always got to be strong in that sense? Sometimes I need that space to just let it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I feel safe like that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
why I gotta lead, and why does it have to be leadership in this space? And why aren't we trained to be leaders amongst ourselves? Why do I need to lead you? Why you need to necessarily lead me?
Facts.
I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. It's always going to be people who need to be led, etc. It's always going to be leaders. I understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yo, you're your own leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get that too. That is an interesting space. I think looking back on it, as I think about grieving and expressing emotions, I would probably have to say I can recognize that growing up in public schools, I can definitely see how I was affected by not necessarily, and I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say this is the source of it. I'm gonna say this would be an added situation where when it comes to like a whole bunch of emoting, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, come on, man, let's keep it moving. I know I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I also recognize the toxicity in that particular space as well. I see that it's a level of toxicity, but I've always kind of been. It's like running away from. It's like this ball of. It's like you running, and it's this big ball following. You ever seen like a movie where it's this ball of something following the person, and it's like this ball of anguish that you just can't get away from. And it's like sometimes I felt like that around our people. It's like, oh, another sob story. Oh, another. And it's like this ball of a sob story. And I can recognize that sometimes my reaction to other people's emotions were coming from that space.
Yeah.
I can see that totally as, again, even further as we have this conversation and looking back. And that was not to say that was correct. That was incorrect. Or it wasn't the best way to go about it. But I also recognize, you know, once we're feeling grief and feeling it, all right, what's next? That's the space that I be trying to like, sometimes I might try to get there too quick. I get that, you know? Because it's like, yo, my life, yo, is this, I don't want to hear it no more. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's a space, so I, trying to juggle that balance. And I can recognize, like I said, looking back, how I may have made people feel unsafe themselves by not necessarily wanting to dive as much into their emotions as they might have wanted to at the time. But I also was coming from a space where it's like, bro, I don't want to hear another negative black person story. God damn, that shit, you know what I'm saying?
It's already too many,
And so, I'm just thinking about that when as we just have this conversation. And trying to find a good balance with that still continuously.
Yeah. So how do you, is that your way of combating grief, or how do you all combat grief?
I mean, you know me. I like to joke. I like to pull some pranks. I like to
cushion.
I'm gonna get one of y'all one
Classic.
day with a whoopee cushion. You know what I mean? Y'all fall asleep around me. I'm hitting you with the slump cam.
Right.
Throwing in the group
man.
chat, cracking some jokes. I like to play video games. Watch anime. Like those are my ways of like navigating grief, because in like certain anime, like they'll be elements of grief too. Like I know Naruto is like one of my favorite animes, and my favorite character is Shikamaru. And in an episode, he's on a mission with his sensei, and within that mission, his sensei gets killed, and he sees it firsthand. And this is like, this was his sensei from like the time he was like 9 years old up until he was 16 when it took place. And so now he's seeing his sensei like bleed out, and he's just like, I did everything I could for this mission so we could all get home, and I didn't do enough. And so as he's navigating his grieving process, one thing that he used to do with his sensei was play shogi. It's a strategy game. And as he's, but he's playing it with his dad. And as he's playing it with his dad, he just loses the fervor to continue playing. And so he just stops, and his dad just looks at him, and then he just knocks the whole board over, all the pieces on the floor, and he just busts out crying hysterically. And his dad doesn't say anything. His dad just gets up, and before he closes the door, he says, "I'll pick the pieces up for you." And he closes the door and he walks away. And that's only in the Japanese translation. That's why I like watching in the Japanese translation.
Yeah.
But that was a powerful testament of like how to let a boy or a man, navigate their grieving process. Like just let them get it out the way that they need to get it out, rather than trying to control how they do it. Like that's, like I'll pick the pieces up for you. That's saying like, do everything that you got to do. Don't worry about, making a mess, breaking anything. I got you. I'll clean up after you, so you can feel through everything that you need to feel. And that was his dad allowing him a safe space to grieve someone that he held dear to his life.
Yeah. Wow.
I will say, in adding on to that, I like to navigate any grievous situation with some solutions. Because again, I don't want to stay there too long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't want to stay there too long. After we done talked about it about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you know me, God, I want to kind of get to the solution base of the situation. And because I think, growing up, it's like you hear on this one side of the family, it's just nothing positive about this one side of the family, man. It's like, oh my gosh. Nothing positive about this one side of the family. And it becomes a condition in and of itself. It's like, oh, there's nothing positive here. I need to be mindful of relationships. I need to be mindful of who and what I'm allowing in my space, for this leads me here. These are lessons that I'm coming to very early. And so I'm like, grief. I want to give it a certain amount of time for me to feel it, but I also want to give me time to come up with solutions so that I don't allow for, again, I can have some control over the situation. That's again where that control come in. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly what I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's coming in every single time.
Yeah.
And something, like I said, see, that might be an area where it serves in a better way, depending upon how I deal with it. But I like to deal with it with some solutions. Okay, this is the situation. All right, I'm grieving that. All right, what can I do? Do I need to change? What do I need to do to make this situation not keep occurring? And so that kind of motivates me for solution-based, practical things. And so, yeah.
So like as a how did you express grief as a boy in comparison to now as a man?
I shut down. How I navigated grief as a boy. I shut down. I would isolate myself in my room. Wouldn't really talk to anybody. I did that a lot. But when I got to 6th grade, my 6th grade English teacher, she helped me to like really open up myself poetically. I remember I was in 6th grade, and we was, in Virginia public schools, you got to go through that phase of English when you got to learn about poetry and you got to write poetry and all these things. So we got to that aspect of the class, and it felt alive to me. Like I felt like I could like really be myself in a different way. And we had to write an acrostic poem. An acrostic poem is like when you spell someone's name, but but it's like in a vertical, and like each letter is a word that describes that person.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so like I did the poem of my late uncle who was shot and killed in '97. So 6th grade. This was me in 2002. So so that's like what 5 years of grieving, but I didn't really know how to channel or express that grief. And so when I wrote this poem for him, as I'm writing it, tears just flowing. And again, 6th grade, I'm in class, peer pressure, black boy. Oh, he crying. Everybody trying to crack a joke and make fun of what I'm feeling and going through.
Yeah.
My teacher, black woman, takes me into the hallway, and she just hugs me.
So good. Take your time. Yeah.
We appreciate that teacher. Wherever you are, I hope you're watching this. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm still cool with her.
What's her name?
Yeah, she likes to be anonymous.
Okay.
All right, cool.
We appreciate you.
She likes to be anonymous, but older black lady, she was like a grandma. Hug me.
Yeah.
To this day, I just write.
Yeah. And see those spaces, that's you see how she allowed that space, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, oh man, all right, I know I'm safe. Cause like even in those moments when it hits you sometimes when you least expect it.
Right.
Like you out in public or
Ton of bricks.
Right.
It's like damn, and you can't even get to you can't get to your car, you can't get to a space where you can just let it all out and then keep moving, you know what I'm saying? And for that's like a prime example of like when you see somebody grieving, just giving them that grace and that space, you know what I'm saying?
That
Like that was beautiful. Man, like, yeah. So it's a powerful thing, man. Like it's hard to navigate in, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
Yeah.
I would say for myself, as far as the question, navigating grief as a child, I think that my way of navigating grief as a child, when it's something that I don't like, I cut it off. Cold, cut it off. That's how I dealt with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's almost, it was like the energy I had as a child, and I still do have it. It's this wonderment, this wonderment. I'm in a whole other dream world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really on Earth, and that has its place when it comes to creative endeavors.
Right.
But navigating earthly situations, that's not a good way to be operating. That joint get you fucked up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so learning that, and so in my dream world, if I felt that something is not safe for me to even express my dream world, oh yeah, I got to cut that.
Gotta clip it.
Got to clip that. You ain't playing with that in that space. Because that area, that Piscean energy is too... It ain't, bro. It's not on Earth. I'm saying,
right.
So you have to
swimming.
you got to put like a concrete casing around that. You can't let that joint just be out here. Nah. So yeah, I would cut it off. And even still to this day, if it's something that's not aligning with me, I will cut it off pretty quickly. This is how I kind of deal with that.
It's understandable.
Yeah, it's dangerous to not do it, I think.
That's a wise way to deal with grief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would ask, what are the positive and negative ways that you have performed or observed dealing with grief? Like,
say it one more time.
or what, like, how has grief helped you perform, whether positive or negative, like in your everyday life? How has it affected you?
I would say it allows me a space to show up for people. because I understand that as we live in America, we're all grieving in some form, you know, big or small, you know, whether it's physically visible, you know, like me, you know, shedding some tears, or, you know, a person isolates themselves, or a person, you know, has anger issues. We're all grieving on some level. So the fact that I can feel so deeply, it allows me to give people grace and show up for them when they're choosing to open themselves up and be vulnerable. Because to be vulnerable is to have a degree of trust.
Yeah.
And so when someone shares that with me, I don't take it for granted. And I don't take it lightly, because it's like they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And so I just look to be a space of comfort in whatever way I can be for that person, because we all need it. You know, we've talked about it as we were writing the book, as we were navigating the space, writing, and being an emotional blanket, you know, to you know, wrap someone in that warmth and just let them just feel through it all, as heavy as it is or as light as it may be. You know, just letting them have that, to just be like, okay, I feel better now. Thank you. And so, you know, that's how, you know, it's helped me, just allowed me to show up authentically, because it's like, even when I show up, it's not fake. Like I'm showing up as me, the person that you need in that space, but it's all me through and through.
I can see that. Yeah.
I was listening very intensely to what you were saying. Repeat the question one more time.
Well, like, how's grief affected you positively or negatively? And I can speak to it, because it's like, I always, like, especially when it goes to dealing and grieving with death, you know what I'm saying? Grief stemming from death. I always think about, what if the person were here? Like, because, you know, energy's nor created nor destroyed, and, you know, even though a person has died a physical death, you know, they essentially return to the essence. So I just try to channel that energy into now. Like, even though they're not here in the physical form, they still here. But how can I channel their energy through me, and what can I carry on that they've taught me? You know what I'm saying? That's how I kind of deal with it, because it's like, yeah, I could get sad and mopey all over again, but it's like, in essence, you know what I'm saying, and living out these teachings and having knowledge of self, it's like, they're still here. It's just a different form. So I have to bring that out and bring it about, whether it's through me or, you know, through what I do. So, you know, that's how I deal with it, you know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I would say a positive way I think that I do deal with it, I think. It's just my opinion, I think. I think it allows for me, like you said, like, you know, it makes me very interested in like grieving people. It makes me very interested in death. Like I'm very interested in the death process. What is death? And, you know, when someone actually physically dies, what happens to them? Where do they go? Yeah. What is really going on? I'm intrigued in that space, God. Because I want to know beyond what I've been trained to look at it. See, that's one of them areas. It's like, and I'm very keen on that, because I want to know what is going on. And so it makes me want to study death. And I've taken some time to study into different, you know, theories and philosophical areas of death and what's going on, just to give myself some more food for thought for the space. But it has allowed for me to expand my view about it, so to speak, where I'm not as attached to just an earthly perspective about it. And by me not being attached to just an earthly, mundane perspective about it, it allows for space for me to be more okay with the situation, because I know that it's more stuff that's working beyond my physical senses that come in a fine mist that they cannot, they die out at. You know what I'm saying? Like, our grandmother is right there. She's right out here. All of our grandmothers right here in this room right now. Not only just as they coming through our vocal cords, as what we saying through our mouth, literally in this room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, this is other world talk. Yeah. Some people know, but they ain't go nowhere, God.
Yeah.
So I think that's a positive way that I've used to channel the grief, to want to learn more about the afterlife, so to speak, so I can get a better understanding. I think maybe a negative way that sometimes it could play itself out is, again, I may at times be a little intolerant. At times I could be intolerant, or I'll say less tolerant than maybe one of you two in a particular situation.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm wrong or you all are right. I just may, on the scale of this traversing that we on, this thing we trying to get called balance, one of us may fall more on that side, one of us may fall on this side. So I may just at times, in certain situations, be a little less tolerant for certain things. It could be a pro in certain situations, could be a con in certain situations. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you think there could be, because I feel like grief is like a part of stress, and this is another thing that I know we as black men in America, we have to deal with a lot. Do you think there is or can be systems set up to where it could deal with this type of stress as far as grief?
Yes.
I guess it would be like a form of counseling or something like that, but like ways to teach others constructive ways of how to deal with it so it doesn't destroy them, it builds them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
That sparks some different thoughts.
Yeah, that is, my mind automatically is going to the culture that we as black people have, because I can recognize that if you were in school, right? Let's say you're in public school, and you're not really in an area where you can really express that kind of situation. See, that's speaking to the culture. And the culture is what's going to shape and mold how you're going to deal with that. Yeah. If you ain't in the space to do it, you already know that you could potentially be food in that particular area. And you can't allow, you know what I'm saying? You can't willingly be food if you don't, you know what I'm saying? But you know in certain situations, certain spaces, that ain't the operation there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
that ain't it.
So in order to change, so to speak, the situation, we have to address the culture of the situation. I feel like addressing anything else is like secondary. Like you got to change this culture of lack of emotional intelligence, so to speak, or expanding our view on emotions.
Yeah.
Because even as we're saying the word emotions right now, it might be somebody watching this show like emotions, talking about emotions, because of the training around how we deal or we view the word, so to speak. It's a trigger word.
Yeah, like the education around it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that is it. But I think us having conversations, like we're right now with 3 masculine men having a conversation in and around emotion. And people seeing that changes it.
True.
Just by seeing this,
it's
addressing the culture that I'm talking about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a system that we can have. And allowing for children when they feel something, to allowing them space to go feel what they feel and striving to get them to be able to at some point articulate what they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's a lot of times too. Some people are feeling things, but they would never really had a good way to learn how to articulate what they're feeling too.
And communicate in a healthy manner.
They're like 2 skills. I got to feel it and I got to be able to bring them together.
All of that just made me think too, because it was like, now it's put me in my dad's space as a father. And it's just like when you have children, and I have daughters, so it's like when girls or women are having, their seasons of the month, because, women go through 4 seasons. They go through 4 seasons every month. Their follicular, their luteal, their ovulation, and their menstruation. Those are their seasons every month. And so, there's times where, my daughters are, they're having they're cramping and all these different things. And, I can just see that look on their face, just like I'm hurting right now. I just want to go back to bed. But we live in a culture, in a society that doesn't allow girls to feel what they're feeling in a respective way to where it's just like, nah, you gotta go to school. Or when you become a woman, you gotta go to work. When it's like, they really need rest. They really need to go, lay back down, let their body, recharge, so they can have the energy to do some productive things rather than bottling up their emotions and writing it off as if it's nothing when it's everything.
Yeah.
Same thing with boys. When it's like, when boys, when we're being challenged, when we're competing and we don't have that means to like express our masculine aggression that we have, and we're told to bottle it up as if it doesn't exist. And then when finally we reach our tipping point and then we become destructive, then it's just like, oh no, you gotta better control your emotions, but you haven't given me a space where I can channel my emotions, let alone control them. I don't even have a way to channel them, so I can feel through it because it's everything to me.
Yeah.
And so, again, that's, back to the culture, when it's like, when we can, let our emotions flow and be what they are without putting a cap on it. And, I think we'll really progress into a more wellness, a more healthier way of operating as a people.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, culture. People make culture, but in turn, culture makes people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like hand in hand.
It's hand in hand. Once you set it in motion, it's a wheel now. Once whoever the people that made it, once they go, they put something in motion that the people that's coming is going to be affected by it.
Right.
That's why culture is so strong in mathematics. You know what I'm saying? It's like culture. Like when that joint comes, it's like, this is when knowledge, wisdom, and understanding are all operating simultaneously, like on this continuum hamster wheel. It's like they all going.
Yeah.
And it's like really having them where you with the practices and the habits that's embedded in that culture, really constantly checking that. It's just got to constantly be checked because there's certain stuff that's in there that might get toxic and poison. And it's got to come out the filtering system.
Yeah, because the culture is the word, the why is the words, the ways, the actions, the deeds of a people. And so like if your culture is not rooted in sustainability, if it's not rooted in wellness, if it's not rooted in intelligence, then it's like you're gonna get the opposite of that. You're gonna get toxicity. You're gonna get ignorance. You're gonna get illiteracy. All these different things, and that's not a sustainable model for people to grow, develop, and produce.
Yeah, makes us food. Yeah, and I think too with that in that question, us actually brainstorming as we are doing kind of now, and just like really just creating a whole compendium of like a new instruction manual on how to deal with grief and other emotions in a positive way. That's the thing right there.
Yeah.
We on it.
Yeah, I'll say last thing before we wrap this up, to anybody out there that's dealing with grief, what are some words of endearment that you could give to them?
Feel through what you're going through. Don't suppress it. Don't write it off as if it doesn't exist. And honor your emotions. Don't make it seem like, this is regular or, this is light. It's not. Like we feel before we think. Our feelings generate thoughts. So like we're humans are beings of feeling. And then we think. Of course, we'll try to think before we feel as a way of moving wisely and having discernment. But we feel everything that we feel, every sensation produces a thought. And so, feel through what you're going through, honor and honor what you're feeling. Don't suppress them.
One of the moments.
Damn,
But he had just hit the camera too.
Yeah. Zoom right in on you. Boom, nigga. Nah, I would say, man, yeah, just to add on to what True Universal said, just, let it go. Of course, like, get by yourself, get in a safe place. But when you get in that safe space, do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Just get it out and let it out, And also have a way to deal with it when these moments will come up randomly or when they come up sparingly. You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be times where grief just creep up on you. You know what I'm saying? Like a thief in the night. It's like, oh, shit, I ain't even expect to feel this way today, So, like, when that happens, have, like, kind of like an emergency grief system, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, man, I know I'm feeling this way. Let me, kick in, do my emergency grief system so that way I can get myself back together, in a good amount of time. But
that just sparked the question: what would you put in your emergency grief kit or emergency grief aid or system? What's in yours?
That's a good one. I wouldn't necessarily be any material items. Mine would just be like, because the first thing. Or I'll say it's a step. First thing is get to a safe space by yourself. Mm-hmm. Like whether it be a car, it be your room, wherever you at and like you're in a place by yourself to let all these emotions out, let them out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you just have a designated space. Then 2, find an activity or something that can help you deal with it. It could be a stress ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you crying or letting the tears out? Squeeze the stress ball or bounding balls. You know what I'm saying? You got the bounding joints. You know what I'm saying? Have your thing where it calms you down or it brings you relaxation or sort of peace to your mind while you're grieving. So that way it's like, I got something combating while I'm going through it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then after those 2 steps, you know what I'm saying, do that activity until you're back yourself again and you feel like, all right, I'm good. I've gotten over this wave of emotions. That would be my 3-step system, my 3-step emergency grief system.
Okay. Yeah, that question. The first one was because everybody's so different. But what I use for me is I do feel through life. I feel through life with my emotions. Because like the God said, thinking is secondary in the sense where thinking is what you're learning how to do afterwards. Mm-hmm. But we're in a universe of energy. Everything is energy and vibration. It's sensations and vibrations that's hitting you on not just physically, but they're hitting your emotions too.
Yeah.
So you're not thinking.
Yeah.
It's all feeling first.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Then from the feelings or the feelings themselves, because those feelings, these emotions are egos. They are themselves personalities. So from out of that emotion comes a thought.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, damn, why my mama ain't want to be, why my mama ain't like me, why my mama ain't want me.
Yeah.
That's a thought that came from an emotion. Oh, why my dad do that? You know what I'm saying? It's emotion that creates the thought. And so for me, in a kit, you know what I'm saying, an emotional kit or a grievance kit, for me, my kit is going to deal with activities of me getting in my body. Because I know if I'm feeling some grievance or some type of emotion, it's going to be showing up in my body.
Right.
It's going to be showing up in my neck, my back, hips, wherever. And so I want to get into my body so that I can feel what the emotion is doing to my physical composition, first and foremost. From there, now it's going to give me an indicator, not what it's doing on the physical form. It's going to give me an idea of what it might also be doing in the shadows.
Yeah.
And so in my grievance kit, I'm gonna have my pen and my pad. I'm gonna be writing, or I might have my computer, my taking some notes or writing some things down with some type of writing mechanism. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna also be taking in a lot of music and a lot of art because music and art is emotions in the form of colors and sounds. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna have some time where I don't listen to nothing and I'm just in silence. Because I want my mind to be quiet so when them thoughts come through, I can hear them in a way that are unobstructed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where I use to help me get more clarity on those emotions, not just grief, but emotions in general.
Yeah.
It's my kit.
Yeah. In my emotional grief kit, I like to be by running water, whether it's the shower, the ocean, a river, a stream. I like running water.
Yes.
Even if I'm just standing in the bathroom and I just got the sink running and I got my hands in the running water from the sink. Like I like running water because like when I'm navigating grief, my feelings and thoughts are moving so fast that it's like I don't have that chill zone.
Yes.
So it's like by feeling running water or hearing running water, it's calming.
Right.
Like it brings everything else that I'm thinking and feeling to a silence. Because now I can just focus on that sound versus all the intrusive thoughts in my head. And so, that's in my emergency grief kit is running water. Of course my bouting balls, rotate them in each hand like I'm, Furious Styles and Boys in the Hood.
Furious.
That's in my emergency grief kit. Music, listening to music, whether it's, Nipsey Hussle, Big Crit, Kendrick Lamar, or sometimes I just put on YouTube and then I'll just let songs play from like this morning I was listening to 80s Japanese pop. I just listened to a different stuff. Those for sure. And of course, my poetry, writing my poetry, like those 4 things are definitely in my emergency grief kit. 5 video games. Yeah. I gotta play my video games, like my story-based games, to immerse myself in a different narrative versus what I'm going through in my own narrative. So to to have somewhat of an out of body experience, and then put myself in someone else's shoes, and then being in those shoes, I may hear something, within that game that sparks me to resolve what I'm actually feeling. So, those 5 things are in my emergency grief kit: running water, music, poetry, my bouting balls and video games.
Yeah, I definitely second that water thing. I got to be outside in nature by some water. I got to be. The water, bro. Yeah, I second that for real. I like that was a good one.
Yeah, that's probably, I add that to one of my activities too, like taking a walk. Taking a walk can also get you by yourself, so that way you need to step off real quick in the cut, do what you need to do, because you might not be able to get to your car. So you know what I'm saying, I say taking a walk. I like say being by water. So
yeah, I would even add a ride on my bike, just feeling that breeze on my face and just being inside my body with movement. So yeah,
the emotions are so the emotions themselves are element modalities. So it's making me think, whatever emotion you might be navigating to, maybe you might want to have a practical exercise where you're dealing with that particular element.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're dealing with some anger or something, you might want to go deal with some fire. Not saying you want to light the house on fire, or maybe want to do a cookout, put some shit on the grill or something. Something safe. You know what I'm saying? But you might want to deal with something fiery.
Yeah.
or some martial arts.
Or some martial arts. You know what I'm saying? And that's finding the.
Yeah. You gotta write that too. You gotta put that in the Evernote. You gotta write
that's
that.
It right there.
That's like a plus degree.
That's
man.
a plus degree, God.
For
That's the
sure.
build or destroy degree in the 1 to 40. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? Because it's like when you're dealing with emotions are elements. They got fire, air, earth, and water. You know what I'm saying? Some emotions that you deal, all of them are flowing feelings, which could be encapsulated in water themselves. But some of them have more unique aspects to them too. Like you might be feeling. Jealousy. You might be feeling frustration.
Yeah.
To me, frustration gives off a more earthy kind of vibe. When I think about frustration, because it's like tectonic plate shifts when you learn earth science.
Friction.
It's friction.
Yeah.
It gives me earth vibes. Or if I'm feeling, a degree of impulsivity, that's fire. I can't control what's coming out of my mouth right now. That shit just flaming out. So I might need to do, You might need to work on some martial arts or, something else that channels that fast energy, that impulsive energy. So I think really pinpointing the emotion and putting an element to it. Is this a fiery thing? This is an earth thing or air thing? I think that helps too. Because everything is nature. This is all a byproduct of nature. So, getting back to nature and understanding how you work in and of and in and through nature helps you to get an understanding of your emotions as well. You got to spend time outside.
Definitely.
I agree.
Yeah, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. Season finale.
Yeah.
I'm Alive Victorious.
I'm True Universal.
I'm Sincere.
And this is
When the Gods Build.
Peace. Yeah.